Hello and good night. Welcome to another bedtime story. This story is meant to help you sleep or to relax your mind. Try and find a comfortable place, such as your bed or a soft chair. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes now. Try and let go of the day as we begin our tale. Tonight's story is Doctor Knowall. The sun had barely risen over the thatched roofs of the village where Klaus the peasant sat up in his bed, his face alight with inspiration. His wife, Martha, groaned and rolled over. "Martha, I have decided," he declared. "I shall become a doctor." Martha cracked one eye open. "A doctor? Klaus, you don't even know how to spell the word doctor." "That's not important," Klaus said, waving a hand. "Doctors do not spell. They simply know things. And I, my dear wife, shall know all things." Martha sat up, rubbing her forehead. "And how exactly will you accomplish this grand transformation?" "Simple," Klaus said. "I shall put on some glasses and carry around a big book. Then I shall get a signboard painted with Doctor Knowall and wear a feather in my hat, and that is how people will know I am wise." Martha sighed. "Klaus, you do not even know how to read. And who will write this sign for you?" Klaus grinned. "Well, you, of course. And I can take that book that your father left you, that you are always reading. It has pictures." She stared at him. "And why exactly have you decided to become a doctor overnight?" Klaus puffed out his chest. "Well, you remember old Master Gottfried, the doctor who came last week when I had that nasty cough? He looked at me over his glasses, touched my forehead, then looked into his book and charged me 3 whole silver pieces. 3, Martha, just for knowing I had a cough. Imagine if I could do that. Simply nod wisely and be paid for it. A fine profession, wouldn't you say?" Martha shook her head. "You mean to say you wish to be a doctor, not to heal the sick, but because you saw one get paid?" Klaus nodded eagerly. "Exactly." Martha buried her face in her hands. "Saints help us." The next day, Klaus set out for the village, feather in his cap, and the big book with pictures under his arm. "Doctor Knowall at your service," he called to a group of villagers. They stared. Then, old Gerda, who had seen enough foolishness in her years, chuckled. "Knowall, do you? Tell me then, how many toes does my goat have?" Klaus blinked. "Ah, a trick question. More than 1? Less than 100. The villagers roared with laughter. Klaus beamed, mistaking their mirth for admiration. "Such wisdom," someone cackled. "He truly knows all." Klaus went home happy that night. The very next morning, Klaus sat before his house, spectacles perched on his nose, book open before him, and a most learned expression upon his face. His neighbor, the widow Rumbunch, approached him. "Klaus, my hen has stopped laying eggs. What should I do?" Klaus, startled, looked down at his book and pretended to study it. At that very moment, a gust of wind flipped the page, and he saw a drawing of a fox. "Aha!" he exclaimed. "A fox has been about. Secure your hen house." The widow Rumbunch gasped and ran home. That evening, she set a watch, and, lo and behold, a fox was indeed sneaking into the henhouse. The next day, she spread the word that maybe old Klaus had the rights of it, and that Doctor Knowall had wisdom beyond compare. Not long after, the village miller came by, scratching his head. "Doctor Knowall, my flour sacks have been lighter than they should be. What would be the cause?" Claus squinted at his book again, but before he could think of an answer, a mouse darted across his feet. "Aha!" he cried. "Mice have been nibbling at your grain." The miller, astonished, checked his storehouse and found a great nest of mice. More and more villagers came, and each time Claus, eminently confident, by sheer luck or coincidence, gave them the perfect answer. Soon, everyone in the village spoke of his unfathomable knowledge. One day, the baker came running. "Doctor Knowall, my bread has been vanishing overnight. A thief is afoot." Klaus furrowed his brow, but before he could so much as open his book, a crumb fell from his own beard, left over from his breakfast. "Aha!" he declared. "The thief leaves crumbs behind." That very night, the baker scattered flour across the floor, and by morning, footprints led straight to the culprit, his own apprentice, sneaking loaves home to his hungry family. The baker, moved by the boy's plight, gave him a proper meal instead, and the villagers marveled at how Doctor Knowall not only solved mysteries, but brought about justice and kindness. Meanwhile, at the grand house on the hill, the nobleman was pacing around his chambers, his brows furrowed. He was in a foul mood. The servants tried to stay as much as possible out of his way. Someone had stolen a chest of gold the night before, and the noble was determined to catch the thief. Earlier, he had overheard his steward and his cook discussing the remarkable Doctor Knowall. "Send for this knowledgeable doctor," he commanded. "If he can solve these village troubles, surely he can find my gold." When Klaus got the summons from the house on the hill, his face lit up. "Martha, this might be my big opportunity. Did I not say this would be a great career change for me? We are in with the nobles." Martha groaned and shook her head, but Klaus donned his glasses and his feathered hat, picked up his book, and quickly set out on his adventure. Soon, Klaus stood in the nobleman's grand hall, completely at ease in the face of authority. "A chest of gold, you say? Well, well, a most serious crime." The nobleman raised an eyebrow. "And you, of course, already know who took it?" "Well," said Klaus, and just then his stomach started to rumble. "I may need to think on it a little bit. Unfortunately, I have not yet eaten, and I can think much better on a full stomach." The lord of the manor led Klaus to the great dining hall, where a lavish feast was set. "Eat, doctor, and think," he said. "My gold must be found." Klaus, supremely confident, sat at the table. He reached for a roasted capon, but just as he did, a servant entered, carrying a heavy tray. Klaus muttered to himself, "That's the first one." At once, the servant gasped and turned pale. "He knows!" the man whispered to the second servant, one who was also in on the crime. Klaus, unaware of the reaction, reached for a second helping of stew and sighed, "And that's the second one." The second steward, who was serving the wine, nearly dropped the bottle. "Doctor Knowall knows everything. We're doomed." The lord of the manor frowned. "What are you two whispering about?" The terrified servants fell to their knees. "Forgive us, my lord. We took the gold and buried it beneath the old oak tree in the garden. We meant to return it, but..." The rest of the confession tumbled out as they begged for mercy. Klaus, now sitting dumbfounded, blinked behind his spectacles. He had simply been counting his portions, but it seemed fate had intervened yet again. The nobleman's eyes widened. Well, well, it seems you truly do know all, Doctor." Klaus beamed. Yes, it is a burden, truly, but I am happy to serve." By the time Klaus returned home that evening, his stomach was full and his pockets were jingling with coins. A reward from the nobleman. He plopped down in his chair and grinned at Martha. "You see, wife, I told you it would work." Martha eyed the feather in his hat, the smudge of roasted chicken on his sleeve, and the absurdly pleased expression on his face. "Klaus," she said slowly, "you are the biggest fool in this village." He patted her hand. "Yes, dear, but I am a very successful fool." And with that, Doctor Knowall went to bed, perfectly certain of his own brilliance. And from that day forwards, whenever a problem arose, the villagers sought his counsel, and Klaus, whether by luck or fate, somehow always found an answer. The end. Thank you for listening to this bedtime story. I hope you enjoyed the tale tonight. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more audiobooks and tales to come. Until next time.